On this video, I'll describe a very good magnetic gaze exercise that not only increases your own personal magnetism and the power of the gaze, but also increases your will and inner power each time that you do it. This is actually a very old exercise from the beginning of the 19th century, and it's used by several authors of the New Thought movement and their students in order to increase the power of the eye and its inner glow. It gives you an inner and outer glow of vitality. For this to work, however, remember the principles that we have discussed in previous videos. You don't really apply yourself in this practice if you're not really using your will, but instead you want to do it just to get it over with. Well, you'll get very few benefits from it. This is to be done with full focus and concentration and with an active will state. If this is done any other way, you won't really achieve the goal of the practice. So only do it when your mind is fully focused on it and your inner state is one of increased power. Aside from the obvious concentration, will, and inner power developed through this exercise, you'll realize that a whole lot of internal tension and magnetism is needed to accomplish this, which gives the eye a very strong gaze and power. Make sure that you remember the internal state after the exercise is finished so that you can use it when you really need it later on. This exercise is actually taken from an advanced magnetic gaze course that is not yet published at the time of the release of this video. The advanced uses of this exercise are not explained here, yet pretty much anyone is able to benefit from a willful and consistent use of this exercise. Do it once with your full focus and you'll understand why. The first exercise goes like this. You sit down with your back straight, looking at an object or a dot on the wall a couple of feet away from you. Exercise the willpower of the brain upon an imaginary line leading directly from the center of your brain through your gaze to the object or dot in front of you. It's like there is a laser beam from your gaze to an object. Make sure there is an intense effort in creating this line, not a muscular one, but an energetic one filled with your will. Spend a few seconds with this imaginary line and then cause this line to revolve to the right while tensing the brain easily, though energetically, but not with a muscular effort. Start with a very slow speed and increase the speed of the revolving of this imaginary line to the right while using your will as much as possible with tension as time goes by. As you succeed in transferring the strength of the tension or dominant force of the will, you are able to recognize a new power in your being. This is part of the inner power. Remember this feeling and release it often during the exercise. From the first until the fourth exercise, don't do it if you really cannot see the object perfectly. If for some reason the dot is blurry, refocus on the dot. Once you did this for at least 3 minutes, do the second part of the exercise, where you continue the revolving energy of the imaginary line, but this time you turn it towards the left. Do it for another 3 minutes. In the third exercise, repeat the first exercise by begin revolving the imaginary line at its greatest speed and gradually reduce it until you bring the line into a slower speed, either 3 minutes here. The fourth exercise, you repeat the third exercise with the line revolving to the left, 3 minutes as well. On the fifth exercise, begin the first one and then cause the revolving line to start as slowly as possible. Then, without the slightest activity or even the smallest part of the body, gradually increase the speed of the revolving imaginary line until the minute object or spot on the wall is lost in a blur, and a faint white light of phosphorescent glow is seen extending from the eye to the spot. Do this for another 3 minutes. On the sixth and last exercise, repeat the same but do it to the left in the last 3 minutes. This exercise should take you a total of 18 or 20 minutes, but it's well worth your time. My advice is to get a timer that rings a beep every 3 minutes. All the new smartphones should get you to do this, but it can easily be found online as well. With this exercise, you get an introduction to the magnetic gaze tradition. The magnetic gaze is a very complete system for energy, communication, and esoteric development. To start developing your gaze, take a look at the Magnetic Gaze Level 1 Foundations course at magneticgaze.com. See you soon.